Welcome back viewers, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries and anyone with ears or other sound detection organs. Hope you enjoy. We are continuing with Chaos and Mayhem written by Lord Henry 7878. There is a link to the playlist in the doobly-doo. Chaos and Mayhem, a sexy space babes story part 21.
The Warfield Chainsaw Massacre.
Warfield Community Center was once, well, the center of the community. The local teams had sports meets here, all the other local groups and clubs met here, and now those creepy-ass spy bitches made their home here. An unpleasant thought, Barbara figured as two guards jumped out of the way of the truck, and said truck plowed through the front door. The U-Haul skidded to a stop, but not before pulverizing a desk and the alien sitting behind it. Now was the time. Barbara opened the door and hopped out. She slapped the side of the truck and the rest of the guys that she, Sammy, and Margie had hired jumped out. One passed her chainsaw as he walked by. She revved it a few times. Hey! Barbara whipped around, firing the shotgun hanging from her hip before putting both hands on the chainsaw again. Armor or not, a 10-gauge shell was going to hurt. As Barbara walked by the wounded alien, she chainsawed its gut open. She kicked open a door and tossed in a stick of dynamite. Blue mist painted the walls as the aliens inside got gibbed. Let's be methodical, Sammy said as she slipped on some brass knuckles. Instead of going floor by floor, we ask some of these girls. Yup, Barbara kicked open another door and swung the chainsaw, taking one of the aliens' hands. It screamed and wailed as it clutched the stump, at least till Barb swung the chainsaw up between its legs. Sammy smashed her brass knuckle-lined fist into the surviving alien's gut and shoved it down into a chair. Where do they keep the prisoners? Sammy got down real close to the seated alien. Barbara slammed the alien's hand down on the table and Sammy punched it hard. The alien started hollering again, but it just wept and moaned in its own language. This isn't helping. Barbara put the alien out of its misery, splattering the window between this room and the next. Yo, we got a problem. Margie stood by the door, rifle at the ready. She'd gone all out, R-15 with a casket. And she was already opening up hard. Margie threw in a stick of dynamite every now and then too. Yeah, I see. Barbara fired, shattering the window. She climbed through and, what do you know, the door was on the other side of the room. The three ladies exited the room and doubled around, approaching the aliens from behind. Barbara swung the chainsaw and went to town on the unfortunate agents. The three continued in such a manner, assisted by whatever lowlife they ran across until they were cornered by three shills. Well, two, they seemed to be escorting a third. Lyra. One yelled as Barbara advanced on her, pulling her plasma pistol. Ilanari. She didn't get much more out. Barbara swung the chainsaw up into her left hip, soaring further and further up till the chainsaw erupted from the alien's right shoulder. The alien's top half slid to the floor. Its bottom half followed in a crumpled heap. The other two ran for it, but Barbara didn't see too much point going after them. Instead, she kicked open another door. The attacks continued for a while, at least until they reached the basement. All of a sudden, they started seeing people. Human people. They all thanked Barbara, or God, or just curled up in a scared little ball. Soon you couldn't move for fear of stepping on a prisoner running for it. Sooner or later, Sammy kicked in a door, and there sat Barbara's brother Lyle, holding his son. He did not look happy. Oh my God, Lyle said. Of course it's you. The two did not like each other. Not one bit. Lyle thought Barbara was unfit to be a mother. Barbara thought Lyle was an asshole. Who else would it be? Barbara looked around. Nobody else is gonna shoot up an interior joint to save your sorry ass. Language. Lyle covered Jason's ears. Like I give a shit. Barbara roughly pulled up her little brother. Come on. Our life expectancy is measured in minutes right now. Lyle couldn't argue with that. The three of them ran out, joining back up with Sammy and Margie. Left. Lyle yelled as they rounded a T-junction. Left. Left takes us to the parking lot. We can get to the highway that way. Loath as Barbara's was to admit it, Lyle had a good idea. The U-Haul was totaled, after all. She took the left, kicking open the front door. And jumping back inside as a massive bolt of energy shot by her head, blowing apart the wall behind her. What the hell is that? Standing in the parking lot was, well, it looked like a giant robot, maybe 10 feet high. The hulking metal figure trained its guns on the party. Barbara knew it had gone far too easily. Something had to go bad sometime. Good going, Barb. Lyle slid Jason behind him. Year and a half of negotiating to reform the police, gone, because you can't seem to grasp that actions have consequences. Lyle. Barbara couldn't believe she had to argue about this now. If the Shilvati let your little gang of paid thugs reform, you'd be their bitches. End of story. Lyle knew Barbara D never had any respect for the police. Will you two shut the fuck up? Sammy cocked her head out the door. We have more pressing issues than your sibling rivalry. Margie leaned out the door, taking a few shots. Barbara knew what she had to do. She informed the others and hefted the shotgun in one hand, chainsaw in the other. It was difficult to do one-handed, but she cocked the thing. Go. Barb leaned out, firing at the mech as everyone else ran for it. The machine focused on her, since she was firing, that made her the immediate threat. It turned to open fire, but then Margie opened up from behind an engine block. While the machine, or maybe the pilot, was focusing on Margie, Barbara ran for the nearest car. She couldn't just steal the car, hot wiring didn't work like it did in the movies. Instead, she took cover behind it. Now they had another problem. Whoever was piloting this thing likely wasn't going to fall for their trick again. Instead, Barbara relinquished her chainsaw and crawled under the car. Barbara was like a ghost, darting between cars, crawling beneath, and repeating. Repeating, that is, until a group of patrolling interior agents prowled by. Barbara reached into her coat and pulled a switchblade. Soon as the knife flicked open, she reached up behind an agent and slashed at her knees. The agent went down screaming, and as the others helped her, Barbara slipped out the other side. Barb and company continued in this manner for a while, but after a while, they just ran out of tricks. She had mentally consigned herself to the scrap heap when she heard it. The sound of a C-15 Cat diesel engine. Barbara figured she was going crazy until a semi-truck jumped the curb, plowing into the machine, pinning them all down. And in the chaos, a patrol vehicle crashed into the truck. One of the truck's doors fell off, revealing Tommy. Barbara was a little confused, but settled on just thankful. He'd saved everyone's asses.
Yeah, get in. Hold on.
Barbara looked at the crashed patrol vehicle. She had an idea. Lyra Desari, call scene looker, lay curled under a desk amidst the screaming and gunfire. She jumped as the door opened, but it was just her Logax, literally safety officials, but more bodyguards or security. We need to go, Ironaya said as she pulled up Desari. What's going on? Lyra was scared. She'd heard about attacks all over, like the Miami Molotov attacks, but there's been an attack. Stay close to me, Ironaya said. Lyra stuck to Ironaya and Crover like glue as they ran out into the hall. She kept ducked like she'd been taught not that she could have gotten up. Not right now, anyways. Ironaya held her down with a burly arm as she fired at the insurgents. All right. It's clear. Go no, don't take the elevator. At Aya's prompting, Lyra Desari made a beeline for the stairs instead, stepping over an injured agent. She sat slumped against the wall, crying as she held her insides in her hands. This kind of stuff was why Lyra didn't want to join the interior. Maybe now Mom would listen when Lyra said she didn't want to do this. As they went upstairs, down halls, and through rooms, she fought back tears as she ran across more and more sights like that. And then she saw it. Like a monster from a child's nightmare, the insurgent stood there, clad in shapeless clothing that hung off its thin frame. She could recognize the guns hanging off their hip, but not the implement in their hands. It was a motor attached to a long blade, around which a toothed chain spun. They were currently decapitating an agent. Lyra, run! Lyra barely had time to comply with Crover's order before the spectre was on her. Agent Crover's very last word was a strangled scream as the figure carved her in half. Lyra, call scene looker, scarcely had time to look as Agent Aya whisked her to the garage. She couldn't remember actually making the trip to the garage, she just remembered numbly climbing into one of the patrol vehicles. Aya climbed in the driver's seat after her and started the car. It was going to be a little bit, the damn thing wasn't meant for emergencies. Eventually though, they were off. Lyra reached out and put her hand on Agent Aya's shoulder. The traumatized agent jumped at the touch. Agent Aya, I am so sorry. Not right now, Lyra's surviving protection said. We need to get you to safety. Then we can mourn, okay? Okay. Lyra sighed. Hold on goddess's clit. Crash position. Aya yanked the yoke as Lyra Desari assumed the position. But it was too late. The patrol vehicle smashed right into a huge truck that had appeared right in front of them. Lyra lost consciousness. When she came to, Aya was fighting to get free of something. Fucking pin, she said as something smashed out the windshield. A small scream escaped Lyra. It was the monster from the halls. It stood there quietly, looming like the deep minder itself as it pulled a knife, repeatedly stabbing Aya in the throat. As it reached for her, Lyra did something she hadn't in a while. She prayed. Lyra knew she wasn't perfect, but she figured she could have been a lot worse too. She just didn't want to die. You're coming with me, the figure said. End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss any episode and do all the other YouTube stuff. Visit and support the author, all the relevant links are in the doobly-doo, and comment your opinions, good or bad. And I'll see you next time. And as usual, have a wonderful day.